Welcome to the Week 5 Picks and Preview episode of Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. Thanks very much for whether you are listening on Spotify or you're watching on our YouTube channel. Thanks for coming along and checking us out. The NFL season continues to roll on. Week 5 already. Where's it going? What's going on? Week 5. Joined by Byron and Joe, as always, gentlemen. Welcome. How was your week off? I say week off. A couple of days off since we got together for the week 4 review. Then
it was a quick week.
I think this makes it worse. I think us doing this is just speeding the season up. I think
it's like one day off in between. Yeah,
I was gonna say, did it Tuesday? Like, okay, let's think about week 4. And then I need to actually get some predictions in for week 5 so quickly. And then it's like, it's Sunday. Let's try, speeding through. But again, can't complain.
Absolutely.
No, absolutely. We're grateful. Well, week 4 was a very exciting week. A little bit of a different week 5. No doubt, I think it'll be just as exciting. We've got the buys in. There's fewer games. Should mean we'll get through this a bit quicker to have a look at. Less picks and less bets to be made, but still plenty going on. We've got a bit of a bumper episode, I guess, in terms of guests this week. So the Jags played in London last week at Wembley. They're here again. Not here again. They didn't go anywhere. They stayed. They stayed in London and are going to be playing the Bills over at Spurs this week. And we've got somebody representing the Jags UK fans joining us. So we've got Robson from Jags Across The Pond, who's going to be joining us to talk through the Jags Bills game. We're going to preview 3 other games. We'll then go through our FourFold picks. We'll go for our against the spread picks competition that we've got going on. And then we've got a special guest talking football with Bo, who's joining us, big Seattle Seahawks guy. And we've got a great little segment with him at the end where we'll talk through his 4 picks for the FourFold challenge as well. So let's introduce Robson. Robson, jumping on the screen. How are you doing from Jags Across the Pond? Yeah, welcome to Good Teams and Great Teams Cover. Pleasure to have you on.
Glad to be on, guys. Obviously, I'm coming in off the back of a win, which is recently has been hard to come by. But yeah, we're sitting all right at the moment. We're coming into a tough week, shall we say? I'll put it like that.
It is. The Bills are flying. Let's just get straight into it and let's talk about that first game. So Jacksonville Jaguars, the away team in London, this time the road team, playing the Buffalo Bills at the Spurs Stadium. The line is Bills 5.5-point favourites. I think that might have changed since Joe closed the line off. Oh no, it's still 5.5. Over/unders 48.5. Robson, first of all, from a Jacksonville perspective, how big was it last week, that get-right game against Atlanta, to kind of just get things moving in the right direction again?
Yeah, I think obviously the defense has been a big part of the season so far, and obviously that blip last week against Houston is in the rearview mirror now, and it was good to come away against this. It's hard to take it really well because the Falcons don't really offer a lot in the passing game, and obviously, but we had to do our job. Good to get a pick 6, and Trevor came through unscathed, which was good, and some pieces that haven't been up to standard have kind of slowly coming back together, which is more than enough at the moment at this early on in the season.
Cool, good. Great point about the Falcons. I was there last week and at Wembley, and I saw firsthand how little the Falcons had to offer. I was screaming for Taylor Heineke to come in, chasing an overs bet that sadly did not come in. What about yourself? Are you going to be? Were you there last week? Or are you going to be attending the game at Spurs this week, Robson?
So yeah, obviously I've just become a father not long ago, so got some brownie points in this weekend. So down at Tottenham this weekend, and my partner's actually a Bills fan. So
cool.
Yeah, so the less good things we say about the Bills, the better, purely for her sake, because she's just going to have the brag if they turn us over. So yeah, I'm going to keep that quiet for now, but so you'll be there this weekend.
Is the winner getting naming rights?
Yeah,
little Trevor.
We had this conversation. I was saying we've got the battle of Josh Allen this weekend, and I said that the last time mine came out on top. So let's hope we get the same way again.
Cool. Well, congrats on the new arrival, Robson, and have a great time down there. How are you looking ahead to the game then on Sunday? How are you feeling? Obviously, the Jags are underdogs in this game, but I've obviously had the advantage, I guess, of staying in London for, I suppose, 10 or 11 days by the time the game comes around. And I understand the Bills are flying. I think it's tonight or tomorrow. How do you see the game going on Sunday?
I think the biggest perk out of it off the field is the fact we're not playing in Buffalo. We're playing in London. It's a Bills home game. That home crowd gets going and it gets noisy, which we don't really get that often in Jacksonville unless it's a big game or a playoff game. So to be in that atmosphere would have been a bit of a killer. May have seen the spread be a bit bigger than what it is. But for me, I think it's not a leveler, but it's better. Again, I've been talking to so many people this week about how it sits with the advantage of, do you fly out Friday? Do you not? How do you go from there? But I think overall it's great for the team to be traded over here. There's lots been going on through the week, and hopefully we can top it off with a victory on Sunday.
Cool, good stuff. Byron Joe, so the second of the London games. Yeah, what are your thoughts? How are you seeing it?
I have previewing our spread competition a little. I have the Jags covering. I think the Jags have been one of the most confusing teams in the league so far. Robson, you'll be better informed than me certainly, but I still like the Jags. I think they ran the Chiefs really close. I know it was an 8-point game, I think, in the end, but the Jags were just so clumsy, I guess is probably the good word for it, on offense. And it's kind of been the tail. I think Lawrence is playing well. I think there's just been some kind of inopportune catches, especially from drops from Calvin Ridley, especially. But I think the Jags are still a good team. I still think they'll probably win the division. Texans have looked better than we expect, but I think they can run the Bills close here. And I wouldn't be stunned if they won, because I think the Bills have got that hot and cold potential as well. I think the Bills have got a higher hot and the Jags have got a lower cold, but I think they're pretty well matched, truthfully. And I think Lawrence, like I say, his numbers haven't been great so far, but I think he's playing pretty well.
Yeah, I think what we've seen from the Bills and especially that Bills defense in the last 3 weeks would be my worry would be. Josh Allen seemed to click into gear in particular last week, having pretty much a flawless game. Joe, it's 5.5, the spread. Where are you leaning?
So I'm leaning to the Bills, really. More just because I think Jags' offense has been one of the most disappointing aspects of the season in terms of just not scoring points. Like, even last week, they only got 16 on offense, and they're averaging 20 a game. And I just don't know if that's enough to beat the Bills. Even like, you're playing a good defense in the first place, and I think Jacksonville's defense is nothing special as well. And I think that's an issue where if the Bills get 25, 26, is that just a win for the Bills? Are Jacksonville going to be able to score enough points? Especially how Josh Allen's looked. Like I said, obviously they've got a disadvantage of flying across. At least they're an East Coast team, so it's not as bad. I would say, that's like the only why I was like, are the Bills actually going to come out firing with that travel? I've been disappointed with Jacksonville. I was expecting them to storm this league, their division, and to challenge for like a number one AFC seeding, just because their schedule and everything. So it's just been a bit disappointing in terms of not everything clicking, and to me, they've got Trevor Lawrence and everything else is just average to good. There's nothing like special about Jacksonville, unfortunately. Sorry about that, Robson.
I think also they won the division in week 18 last year, didn't they? Beat the Titans and finished, what was it, 9-9? Was it 9-8 that won the division? Yeah. So, and by doing that, and yes, there was, the great playoff comeback and the second half of the season was much better. The schedule's an interesting point because actually I think it's really tough because you've got to play the Bills, you've got to play the Chiefs, you've got to play, I think that is going to have to play the Bengals as well, right? They're playing the 49. I think it's yeah.
I'm guessing because of the AFC South, the other teams have looked a bit better than everyone expected as well. So I'm just thinking from the start of the preseason, I was like, Colts are not going to be too good. Texans are not going to be too good. Titans are not going to be too good. So you thought, they could get 6 wins just there. But I think each team's looking a bit better than everyone expected. So it's tricky. And obviously, like, players like Trevor Walker not actually like showing that potential. Obviously, it was the number one pick. I'm guessing it's frustrating for a Jags point of view that these high picks are not always hitting, especially when you take him over number one last year.
Robson, for us, just coming back to you, it's been obviously we're a season and a quarter into Doug Peterson at the Jaguars. How are you feeling it's going so far, and what are your expectations for the rest of the season?
So I think last year it was implementing effectively a year one for Trevor Lawrence in a sense, because the first year, the less we talk about that year, the better. We'll
love talking about Urban Meyer.
Yeah, but I think it's it's big to see that there's evidently a culture being built, but I feel he made a good point the other week after the Texans lost, where the press clippings are kind of being read by the dressing room itself, and they're kind of buying their own hype, which we have no real right to do. We've had one winning season in 10 years. That one winning season, we got to the AFC the AFC Championship game, and after won the South. But for me, we've not done anything yet. I know that us and the Lions are very highly compared for coming as a team. Have done next to nothing over the last few years, and then finish the year strong. Go into this season, the Lions have obviously done a bit better as a team. I think we've kind of been either offense or defense, either side, not really a collective effort. So I think he's implemented that. He's come out and stated that Press Taylor is going to be the OC. Well, he's the OC calling the plays, but I think there's a lot more going on there. I think he may have shot himself in the foot, because I think that it was a bit when he was in Philly. And he's kind of going down that same path now, which is a bit irritating. I feel if he didn't say anything, no one would have known the wiser. But I think he's slowly, obviously, putting that back maybe a little bit. But overall, he's running a very steady ship of a very disorganised organisation over the last 5 or 10 years. So.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it probably just needs some a bit of continuity, doesn't it? I think, and to get that, Doug Peterson's a great coach. I certainly think he is, and yeah, it just feels like it's there for the taking, and an opportunity to kind of dominate that division at least over the next few years is there. And it's whether they go ahead and take it and do what they need to do to make that happen. Yeah, we're a gambling show at heart, Robson. I'm sure you've noticed. Spread's 5.5. Are Jacksonville going to cover it, or do you think Jacksonville are going to win the game outright?
I think in terms of winning the game outright, we've got to play a flawless game, personally. So I think it's probably slim pickings in that aspect. I can see us covering. I think if we can get a hold of Allen a little bit, obviously he's not rushed at all much this year. He's passed from the pocket quite a bit. I don't know if that's purely because he's been told to by Coach McDermott or anything like that. Diggs seems to be his major target, obviously. So shutting down him is easy to say, and to do is another thing. But I think if we can keep it close going into the fourth, we have a chance of covering that line. But I kind of had us between 7 and 10 points off them without playing a flawless game, because we are the Jaguars and we do make a handful of mistakes on game days. That's the honest truth for that one.
No, fair enough. We're a bit of a, kind of where the money is at the minute on the game. What are we, Thursday night that we're recording here? So far, the line's obviously 5.5. 97% of the money on the spread is on Buffalo, with 75% of the bets, and only 3% of the money on the Jags, and 25% of the bets. So so the public betting is all on the Bills. I thought there might have been a bit more interest in the Jags at 5.5. Certainly, maybe
you can't trust the public.
You can't. Well, public are going pretty well so far, to be fair. They were 10-5-1 last week against the spread, public betting.
Which would have led our competition.
Which would have led our competition, yeah, absolutely. And Robson, just last one from me before we shout out the Jags Across the Pond stuff, if that's okay. We've got a partnership with Fantasy Gameday, which is an NFL daily fantasy app available here in the UK. Kind of it's improving what goes on in America. The guys are brilliant. And we shout out on our previews maybe a player or two who might be good for the Fantasy Gameday lineup. Who should we be considering from the Jacksonville Jaguars this week in that game against Buffalo that would be added to the lineup?
I'm looking at we're strengthening the O-line, I think, this week. So I think the run game has potential. The Bills are last in yards per carry given up this year so far. I think they average about 6.5 a carry. So I think Travis Etienne could be a sort of betting man's sort of bet on the overs, I think, in terms of what he could provide your team. I think he could have a bit of a day if we do get going.
Cool. Travis Etienne, absolutely one, and a pretty solid one to have various points throughout the season, I think. Robson, give us a shout then. Jags Across the Pond, tell us all about it. I think, the name tells us a lot that we need to know, but tell us about it. Tell us what you've got going on and where can we find you.
So, yeah, obviously you can find myself and my co-host Jamie. We'll be there this weekend. Obviously, we run our podcast. We're on social media platforms as Facebook and Twitter. You can find us on any streaming network possible to come and find us. We love the interactions. We're growing ever so slowly since we started back in COVID. Obviously, we're a one-team based pod or fan page, so obviously it has its limitations in terms of reaching an audience. It's great to come on with you guys who cover the league and spread the word. Obviously, we've been a very sucky organisation recently, so it's been hard to have any positive to talk about. But yeah, we're really loving it, and we're trying to grow ourselves as much as possible. We are trying to take ourselves over this year to stateside and try and sort something out as long as we kind of get near the playoffs. But I'll keep both of those crossed for now, just in case. So.
Well, I expect them to. They'll be there, certainly, I think fighting at the end of the season. Well, Robson, it's been a pleasure to have you on. Thanks ever so much for coming. Hopefully, we'll have you on later in the season. It'd be great to have you back a bit later on, checking how you feel the Jags are doing, as you've been a great guest. But we appreciate you, Robson, and have a great weekend. Have a great time at the game on Sunday.
Cheers, Jess. Thank you very much for having me
Cheers,
on.
Robson.
Cheers, Robson.
Right. Thanks, Robson.
Can't believe I didn't ask him. Josh Allen game?
The Josh Allen derby. What a thoroughly nice chap. Good stuff. We'll get Robson back sometime in the future. There was one stat actually I wanted to have. Obviously, I've got my stats ready, well prepared this week. Obviously, I think I'm going to go big on the Bills, just on the, not that Robson's just gone in and saying that, but I'm going to go big on the Bills, just that line, 97% of the public money on the Bills at -5.5. The other bit, though, a London stat, or Tottenham stat specifically, games at Spurs, the NFL games at Spurs are 5-1 for the over. So
that's not good for my bet.
Fast track. Are you on the under, Joe? Yeah. Fast track at Spurs. Fast track. So yeah, and I think as well with, was it 48.5?
Mm-hmm.
Bills offense, what's it put up? 40 odd last week, 30 odd the 2 weeks before.
Yeah, I'll explain my decision maker later on if you want, but
yeah, that's fine. We'll save it. Yeah, we'll save it.
It's very fast track at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, though. Just ask the VAR room.
Yeah.
So soccer pun for you there. That's been wild. We could spend 10 minutes talking about that. When's the replay?
Fuck off, Jurgen. What a tosser. I know, sorry, we're going off subject, but what a tosser.
Yeah, I mean, we could spend 20 minutes just talking about Jurgen Klopp being a tosser. Sorry, any Liverpool fans. Well, I'm not sorry. What am I
Nah, fuck it. You've got a crybaby manager.
Yeah. Cool. I'm just getting the banner up because I didn't put the banner up. Sorry. This is great podcasting for those listening on Spotify. Should be a good game, I think. Interesting one at Spurs. Anything else? Any other leans or any other bets on Jags Bills for you two guys?
No other bets as yet. I think ETN is a good shout. Robson said there. I think he's been playing really well. Maybe just doesn't mean getting the touchdowns you might expect or hope for, but I think he's been playing really well. And I think one of the things we didn't touch on there, which might help the Jags keep up and maybe go closer to the over. Sorry, Joe. No Trey White, obviously, for the Bills.
Yeah.
So that's a big change in a short week. I mean, it's obviously a 7-day week, but it's a short week because you've got to travel to London. You can't bring in tryouts to, Hemel Hempstead and try them out on the fields of London. It's impacting your week. So the Bills are a smart organisation, though. They'll have planned for it. Trey White has been in and out of the lineup over the last couple of years of injuries, which is a shame, but it could certainly be a factor in helping the Jags passing offense get going a little more. Yeah.
Cool. Well, we'll see. Hopefully a bit more of a contest this week, hopefully, for everybody watching. And I don't know, I hope this game isn't on ITV again this week. Really hope it isn't. I don't know if it's on Sky Sports or if it's on the BBC. I've not checked yet. But yeah. No, ITV coverage was bad. Let's move on. Let's move on.
Looks like Paul may have frozen. So
I was just thinking, is this my end or is this Paul's end? I'm so used to being the one with the internet issue, so I thought it's maybe me again. But
well, before we move on, I'll just shout out my fantasy picks for the Fantasy Gameday UK app. So mine too are probably James Cook and Diggs. I just think you're saying it's a fast track. I think James Cook's looked explosive for a running back.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to have a good year, but just watching him, you can just tell, wow, he's got some speed. He's going to get some points. And I just think with Diggs, it's just got to a point where he's just picked the best players. He's scoring a number of touchdowns again, the picks,
I think one of the things I've kind of realized, we haven't discussed this in the Fantasy Game Day, the pricing seems kind of friendly.
Mm-hmm.
So I completely agree. Like, last week, we had Marvin Mims and I think Donald Palm. I can't remember who made our lineup, but like Donald Palm was a shout, and it's like maybe trying to avoid some of the less bargain options as you might in like DraftKings, where it can be really tough and you kind of almost need to, have one of the lower price players to really hit. Whereas I mean, Steph Diggs, I think at the minute is like the definition of like, I'm him. He's just...
Yeah, and I think playing internationally, he'll probably want to prove something as well, like that Josh Allen will want to prove something. So I don't think, like I said before, I don't think Jags defense are amazing. I think they play better stuff in the run than they are covering the pass. So I think Diggs is definitely everyone. So I'll pause away. We might as well move on to the next game.
Yeah.
So it's the Ravens Steelers, the battle of the AFC North. Ravens coming off a good win last week, and Steelers coming off a terrible week. So, yeah, how are you feeling about this game?
I went in the Ravens. I think you did as well. It is in Pittsburgh, which could be a factor, certainly. I think I read a stat today. Lamar Jackson's missed like 12 games in his career, and 5 of those games have been against Pittsburgh, so he's only played them 3 times. So it's hard to have that much of a read on what he's done against like such a good defense. But I just think at this point, the Ravens they look a cut above. I know they've had their own injury problems, but did you see the story of Matt Canada this week on Twitter?
I saw that, but I
don't know how legitimate I think it is. It seemed very...
There's been stupid.
Low levels.
There's been stupid, and then you just think, he can't be that stupid to set up an Twitter account with his work email. So I think someone's done that on purpose. But...
I kind of think the same. But I wouldn't put too much past Matt Canada into low expectations. So it seems like Kenny Pickett's going to play.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that's a positive or not. I think Trubisky has a little bit of a spark, but he's obviously not a good quarterback, or he wouldn't be backing up Kenny Pickett. But yeah, I think the Ravens have played really well for the most part this season. Like, they lost to the Colts, but I think it's one of them games where, like, if you look at the game as a whole, they probably shouldn't be losing that game. Obviously, that doesn't get an extra win in the win-loss column, but I think you could look at them being a 4-0 team and not be surprised. Whereas the Steelers, kind of trudged to victories, it feels more like, the two they've had. So, yeah, I think the Ravens should be pretty comfortable favourites here. I know it's -4, but I think I'd probably have them as touchdown favourites for this game.
Yeah, I'm similar. Just because the injuries are piling up. I know, like you said, Pickett's playing, but how he is playing at the minute is a bit like, would they be better off with Trubisky? That kind of where you sometimes, when the backup comes in, he throws off the other team and they're not prepared for it. While I've just been reading, like, it looks like he's going to be wearing a big knee brace. And that their all-line's not been great, so that's not a good sign. I think Highsmith wasn't practicing today as well, so that's obviously another big injury on the defensive line, because I feel like you need both of them, because I think they're both top class edge rushers, but it makes it easy when you've only got one of them, so you can like look at TJ Watt and try and get him out of the game and let Lamar do what Lamar does. I think it'll still be a close game. I think I struggle I'm not quite sure if he'll touchdown. It's tricky just because I think these two teams play each other really close every single year. And it's always just tricky that it just feels like there's something about this game where it's just going to be like old school football, and it's going to be it was a tough one. I think it was a flip of a coin, but just with the injuries coming in and with like I said, with Pickett playing, I think if it was Trubisky, I might have gone the other way, but I think with Pickett playing,
just that little spark.
Yeah, it just nudged me that way because their offense has just been putrid. It's been horrendous, which I'm like, I think I said every single week, I expect them to play a lot better this year, especially on offense. It's just not happening. And
I know he hasn't been a weapon yet, but I think Pat Fryer moves out this game as well.
Yeah.
Which is another, Deontay Johnson's obviously out on IR for another couple of weeks. It's going to be a lot for George Pickens.
Yeah, and I've got Najee Harris in my fantasy team as well, and he's just done nothing this year. I was expecting a big year from him, that they would like try and run the ball quite a little more, but I think they might give up on him soon. I think he's had 2 or 3 years now where it's not been special, so I can't imagine him getting extended. And
he looks like Trent Richardson.
Yeah,
and that's not a compliment. Like, he looks so sluggish. Like, I know the line is bad, so like, a bit like Daniel Jones we were talking about last week. Like, you can only blame so much when the line's that bad, but like, Jaylen Warren looks like he's got a bit more wiggle to him. And I know it's he's a more pass catching back, so he's probably getting those opportunities in like 3rd and long where you're going to have a little more room. But yeah, Harris just looks kind of washed to me, and it's a shame because he seems a real good kid. He looked great in college, but he looks like an old running back, and he's only 3 years into his career.
Yeah. And what do you think about the over and under being 38? That was tempting, but I just can't go for it because I think that'll be one of them games that'll be like 39 with like a last minute field goal or something.
Yeah, I wouldn't be stunned if this finished like 14-3.
Mm-hmm.
But by the same token, like I wouldn't be stunned if Lamar just like, because he punished the Browns defense last week easy enough, and I don't think the Steelers defense is as good as the Browns. I think they're relatively similar in terms of high level, but I could see the Ravens getting up to 20, 25 points, and then can Steelers eke a couple of touchdowns maybe, and then it's such a low number that it's hard to go the under on it. But
yeah,
let me give you a stat. I'm back. Sorry guys, dropped out. Thanks for holding the fort. So yes, Ravens is favourite in this game. Ravens 4-point favourite. I've got a couple of stats for you. One you will not be surprised about. This one related to the under. So unders hit 73% of the time when the Ravens are a favourite. That's going back since the start of the 2021 season. So as a favourite, unders tend to hit in Ravens games. 73%, that's a lot. It is a low number though, isn't it? 38.
Yeah. But again, would you be stunned, like I say, if it's 14-3 or 17-10? Like,
that's Pittsburgh's hope, right? They have to make it a horrible game.
Yeah. They're not winning the shootout.
No, absolutely not. But, it's very rare that the Ravens are involved in one, right? But, yeah, I don't know.
They probably have to make it like the Colts game, like when the Ravens lost the Colts. That kind of where Lamar does a few,
forced mistakes.
Where they play well, but somehow he gets into fumbles a ball, bad snap, and all that kind of stuff. I think that's what the Steelers are going to be living off this week. And I think it's big for the Ravens if they win this game, and they've won obviously all 3 away division games, and obviously that's huge after 5 weeks that they've got the 3-0 up in the division all the way from home, and then he'll put them as fairly favourites to win this division. And they're off to London next week as well, so they'll be looking for that, and also obviously put Steelers fan base into meltdown if Pickett has another terrible game.
It's such an odd game because you couldn't probably the two teams are so far apart on optimism, hope, and expectation in this one. The Ravens and the Steelers. Yeah, we could be here, and the Steelers find a way to win this game, and they both be sat 3-2.
Yeah,
and
it's kind of what I was.
Yeah, Steelers right back in it, and I don't know if you discussed this while I was gone. Sorry, Steelers right back in it, and the Ravens missed chance to kind of start putting the foot on the throat of the division.
It's kind of what I was feeling. I didn't comment on it, just not want to take too much of Robson's time, but like, it feels like the Jags are in like a hole, and everyone in that division's 2-2. Like, it feels like the Texans like doing incredible, and they are relative to expectations, and the Jags are like, oh my god, what a failure they've been, and they're the same record. Like, by the end of this week, the Jags could be top of that division at 3-2, and the Texans could be 2-3, and you would not believe it from the narrative that's we've been saying as well as anybody else. I'm not calling anyone out on it. But yeah, I think the Ravens will win this game, obviously. I think you have the Steelers covering, right, Paul?
Yeah, I've taken the Steelers +4 in this one for our picks. And I suppose reason being, from my perspective, I think it'll run close to that under. So I think it'll be a real low-scoring game. Hence, you've got a chance at +4. Mike Tomlin is a home underdog. It is absurd. How many of these games he wins straight up and how many he covers. I was trying to work out because I was getting the last number on it on the last article. It's from a while ago, and I was trying to piece together where it is. It is somewhere in the region of like 75% of the time as a home underdog. They cover the spread, and 65 to 75% of the time, 60% of was it 65% of the time they win the game outright. It is an absurd record as a home underdog. As an underdog in general for the Steelers since he turned up in 2007. They're ridiculous, over 60% as an underdog, straight up to win games. But this home record, this record as a home underdog is farcical, and we've seen it. He's split. He's 1-1 so far this year. 49ers beat them. They beat the Browns as underdogs.
Is that why I called him Mr. 65%?
He's going to do that all season, yeah. I'm hanging on. I'm Mr. 61% at the minute. Hanging on by a thread. But yeah, Tomlin's a home underdog, and I think that defense had a bad outing last week, but they need to see something. That offense has to do something. There was a bit of green shoots of recovery in Vegas on Sunday Night Football, or that was also a rancid game. But yeah, it went to shit last week. That offense needs to do something, and that defense, I think, is going to be mean and angry and step up this week and make it real tough for the Ravens. So, like the Steelers, love the Steelers, like the under.
Yeah. I just think 38 is just a horrible number, because if someone just suddenly gets, interception, touchdown, and then you end up on, it's just like, 14 points, is like, oh God, we've not got many more to play with. But I think you missed earlier on, because with the Steelers, that Highsmith might be missing this game. So obviously that's another big thing. In terms of like fantasy game day wise, I think I might just stay away from this game. I think the only person I might choose is Andrews. That might be the only player. I'm enjoying more like, there's like certain quarterbacks, it's just like, they're going to score a touchdown. And Lamar Jackson feels one of them. Anthony Richardson feels like one. Jalen Hurts, it's like most games, they're going to get a touchdown. So I always, when I try and choose my anytime scorers, try and at least choose one or two of them quarterbacks. But yeah, Lamar Jackson just keeps hold of it and just scores so many. So it's a shout for a bit.
Andrews is a good shout. It's a real good value on the Fantasy Gameday app as well. 3,600. He's the fourth most expensive tight end, but 3,600. I think it's real good value. Yeah, seems real good value. Charlie the dog agrees in the background there. But yeah, one for your Fantasy Gameday app. If we've not promoted it already, I'm sure we have done. Go download the app. Go take part in the Sunday Stars game. Submit your lineup. You've got until 5 p.m. on Sunday. Submit your lineup. Sit back and watch the points roll in. And if you've done well enough to be in the top 20%, you'll win yourself a cash prize. You can download the app now. Made by guys in the UK for the UK fans. Daily Fantasy NFL has finally arrived here in Blighty. Download it from the App Store, Google Play Store, wherever you get your apps from. You must be 18 years or older to play. Available only in the UK and Northern Ireland. And as always, please gamble responsibly. Anything else to add on Ravens Steelers? No. Let's move on. Hopefully I won't drop out again. Sorry about that. Eagles Rams is our next game. Eagles 4-point favourites, over unders 50.5. I suppose Rams have been better than expected. Eagles are 4-0 without really turning it on. I don't like the number on this one. It's one of the games I just couldn't decide what to do with. Yeah, Rams at home. Could they push the Eagles close?
I think it's going to be close. Sorry, Barry, you go first.
I was going to say they definitely could. I think it's kind of either the Eagles blow them out or the Rams might sneak it. Like, I think one of them's going to... The Eagles are going to have to turn up and I think put in like a big performance at some point. They're too good not to. And I kind of wonder if it is going to be this week. But there's also a chance that the Eagles finally, I think, catch up to them, underperforming slightly to what we expect from them, but sneaking wins. I think it's more likely, truthfully, that they blow out the Rams. There's some kind of little concerns about Matthew Stafford nursing a hip injury, which I always worry that Eagles O-line, D-line, like that Rams O-line isn't a strong point of theirs, certainly. And, if Matthew Stafford takes a big hit early, does he sit out? But, I am very much sitting on both sides of the fence here because Cooper Kupp might be back. That Rams offense is looking real good. Matthew Stafford's playing incredible football. Do they just go and upset Philly completely? I think it's one of the two. Obviously, it could certainly happen where it's a close game and the Eagles win by 3 and the Rams sneak the cover. But I think just like kind of narrative vibes of I think the Eagles you've got to blow them out or just lose completely.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, I think they'll be losing by 7 and then Sean McVay lines up for a field goal just to break everyone's hat. But no, I mean, I think it's going to be tighter. I think I'll pick the Eagles just because he feels like the Eagles should win by 4. But I would not be surprised if even Rams even just win this straight up, just because, like you said, with Cup coming back, I think Stafford's playing. I think Williams, the running back's playing. And I think if the Eagles do what they did against Washington, I think Rams could punish them a bit better, more on offense. I do about the flip side. I don't know if the Rams defense is as good as Washington, so I'm curious how that'll work out. And there'll probably be a lot of Eagles fans in LA as well, so more or less be a. I know you said it was at Rams Stadium, but it might as well be.
It's an Eagles home game, really.
Exactly.
Props aren't up on any Rams offensive players, so that might indicate there is some concern about Stafford. I was hoping at some point we would see Stetson Bennett, but obviously that's got his whole thing. That's they've been pretty tight-lipped about what's been going on with Stetson Bennett, two-time back-to-back national champion from Georgia. But I mean, if it ends up being, is it Brett Ripien? That -4 is a steal, isn't it? So
I think all the reports I've seen he's been practicing today.
Cool.
And yesterday, so it looks like he's going to play.
And you know what, he gutted it out last week. Stafford really did gut it out to kind of get that overtime win in Indy. But yeah, I don't know. I think the Rams are frisky, and I think I like them to push the Eagles close, but I bottled it and just pick the Eagles -4. Any other bets that we like on this one?
It's hard because all the like you said there about the Rams offensive players, I can't seem to get anything on DraftKings for any kind of touchdown markets for anybody on this one because I'm guessing they're not knowing who's playing, so it's only Eagles players. I do fancy Dallas Goedert to finally get his first touchdown of the season. In the same way AJ Brown was a good bet last week for it. I think he's not been a squeaky wheel, but maybe just a wheel that needs grease.
Wheel that needs grease. Good stuff.
Squeaky or otherwise.
Yeah. There's no words. Very, very, very odd at the minute. We need that updating. Bet365, get it updated early when we're doing this show. Joe, anything from you on this one?
Not really, like you said. I'm guessing they might be waiting to see if like Cup's playing and where to put everyone's. I think it is play. I think Stafford might try and force them ball. So I think anytime touchdown Cup, if he's playing, might be a good shout as always.
Be interested to see Puka Nakua's line if it's clear that Cup is going to play, how they gauge it and how much, because he will of course lose targets, of course he will, but
he'll also lose coverage.
Yeah, there's that as well, and he's been, Stafford's trusted him, so he'll, we build up that relationship. You'll keep coming back to him, right? So interested to see how, and if it is a big drop off on the line, you might be able to, for a week or two, you might be able to get some value there on Puka Nacua from a yards and receptions perspective. Cool, good stuff. And look, we're going to finish off with the game of the week. Oh, sorry, Fantasy Gameday player for Eagles Rams. Who we liking?
DeAndre Swift being on fire. Pick your poison a little bit in the receiving game, but DeAndre Swift's getting the high value touches in the running game for Philly, obviously. A little bit of romanticism about chucking Cooper Kupp in. I'd probably be more inclined to chuck Puka Nacua in if I was going receiver, though. We don't know how fit Cooper Kupp is. Could he be a decoy-ish? Could he not be at full fitness? We know what Puka Nacua is right now, which feels incredibly crazy to say after 4 weeks of the season.
Mad, yeah. Swift's 4,600 of your £40,000 budget, middle of the road running back. Puka Nacua 6,400, which puts him as the third highest wide receiver, which is wild in Fantasy Gameday. Ahead of Jamar Chase, ahead of Cooper Kupp, who's 5,600, ahead of AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, Amon-Ra St. Brown. What, you can keep going on. Wild.
Yeah, if he's third, there's going to be a lot below him.
Yeah.
An impact. What an impact Puka Nacua's had. Good stuff. Right, let's move on to the game of the week and the game of the podcast. We've got mine and Byron's Dallas Cowboys going out west. Oh, yeah, get the shirt in. Going out west to take on the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are 3.5-point favorites. Over-under is 45. I think we're in for a good Sunday night football, gents.
Hopefully, we'll see how it goes for you guys. How you feeling at the end? But I think it's going to be good
first, Joe. Yeah, how are you feeling about the Niners heading into this one?
I'm feeling fairly confident, to be honest. I'm in a mood where even if they lose, I'll not be too disappointed. I think they've managed to build that up where if they go 4-1, I would have been happy with that start. I think if it's reversed, if Cowboys lose and they're 3-2, I think there'll be more national attention and meltdown from the fans. I just think with this game, it feels like, and it always usually is, it's down to Dak. I feel like he's going to win it or lose it. In terms of, I think 49ers have got a higher floor than the Cowboys. I think because 49ers seems like they'll just, even if they play just like everyone just plays good, they're going to be there and thereabout. And I think there's every single, most of the team is usually on that level. So I think the Cowboys need to have a good game. I had to have a great game on offense. And I think that's where it's build up on Dak, because I think 49ers are probably going to get some points just because how they play. And I think it feels like every game they play against the Cowboys is like certain little things what the 49ers do, which the Cowboys never can come back. So it's like things like yards after the catch. It feels like 49ers against Cowboys. They're never amazing at tackling, and the 49ers seem to always get a lot of yak yards. While reverse, it feels like whenever someone gets thrown up, and with the Cowboys, as the 49ers tackles them straight away, and there's not many yak yards. So I think it's them little things which is going to make a difference. And I think if Dak plays to his potential, then yeah, I think Cowboys got a chance. But if he, throws 2 interceptions and has that kind of game where he has had against the 49ers the last few years, I think I feel like the 49ers are going to win that. I don't think the Dallas defense is going to be able to cover if the offense don't have a good game. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, good shout. And I think it is. I think there's going to be a lot asked on Dak Prescott to if the Cowboys are going to win this game. And maybe, look, Dak's only been put in a position once where he's needed to go win the game for Dallas this year. And, he's failed, his supporting cast and his coach, his play call, in particular in the red zone. Have been problems, but he's not got it done ultimately. And that's always the headline, right? And will always be the case when you're the Dallas Cowboys quarterback. I'm real worried for this one from a Cowboys perspective. Byron, do you want to take the floor first?
Yeah, I'm much less worried, I think. I have the Cowboys covering the spread. I won't be stunned if they won the game. I think the two fairly similar standard teams, I think. I think it'll be interesting, like Joe's saying, it kind of rides on Dak. I think it'll be interesting to see. I think the worst Brock Purdy's looked, other than the Eagles game, because that was an unfair characterization. But the worst he's looked might have been the Giants game. And it felt like the Giants pass rush was playing pretty well that game and were getting in his face a bit. And he threw a few balls up that were, pickable. And, Purdy has the magic Midas touch right now where those kind of balls just end up hitting the ground. And, he gets away with it a little. I'd love to have had Diggs in for this game, Trevion Diggs, because I think he would be one of those players who would take advantage of that a lot. I think it's just great matchups across the board, though. I don't want to make out like Dallas defense are going to dominate Brock Purdy, because that isn't what's going to happen. But I think there's a good chance to get a lot of pressure on him. The Cowboys O-line is going to be at full strength, optimistically, for the first time in a long time. It's going to be the first choice 5 starters across the board, which should try and help slow down that 49ers defensive line. I think it's just going to be a real close battle, though. I think, like I say, I think it's a really well matched teams. I think the 49ers are justifiably favourites, especially because it's in San Francisco. But could it be a field goal game? Could the Cowboys sneak it? I think both of those are certainly in play. I'd be really disappointed as a Cowboys fan, and I'd be kind of surprised if it ends up being like a 20-point win for the 49ers. I think there's more chance of that than the Cowboys winning by 20 points, certainly, but I don't see that as a realistic outcome. I think it's going to be a pretty tight game, unless Dak does throw it away. If there's 2 interceptions in the 3rd and 4th quarter or something like that, then that can certainly happen. But I think that is in Brock Purdy's range of outcomes as well. I'm really looking forward to the game. I think there will be a lot of attention if Dallas lose and they go 3-2, like you say. But I'm not overly concerned if they do lose the game. I still think they're making the playoffs. I still think they're a really strong team, from front to back. And just can't wait to see it play out. It's Dallas's biggest test of the season so far, 49ers' biggest test of the season so far.
If they hadn't lost the Cardinals game, I wouldn't be so bad, because I think, but there's one you need to get back somewhere, and
there is.
I'm not suggesting it's this game, but it's probably maybe you need to beat the Eagles twice. I don't know. You're gonna have to win one that you shouldn't somewhere. And I think that's my worry. My worry is that they don't compete. Don't necessarily get blown out from a score perspective, but they just don't compete. And I'm very, very worried about the offense. I think you need a lot of big plays because you're in the red. You're terrible in the red zone. Dallas has been terrible in the red zone, and it didn't really improve last week against the Patriots, did it? So
no, and that the red zone is going to be huge. You can't be kicking field goals against Kyle Shanahan. Well, not just Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan is merry men of yards after the catch guys who just get 8 yards after every catch.
Should be a cracker. It's gonna, it's gonna decide a lot of things. I think, especially later in the season. I expect to see this matchup again in January, probably at San Francisco at some point. It should be a fantastic game. The 2 playoff games the last 2 years have been close games, have been exciting games, not necessarily big scoring games, but exciting ones. Where we're leaning from, any kind of bets perspective from you guys? I know we've got our ATS picks, but any bets that you're going to put on the game, do you think?
I do like the Brock Purdy to throw an interception is plus 124. I don't have the market on him plus throwing more than one, but I think just as a plus number, I think it's a reasonably good bet. I haven't fully dove into all the bets on that one yet, but I like Purdy to throw an interception. Like I say, I think going to get a lot of pressure, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if both quarterbacks threw an interception, truthfully. I don't think that's outlandish, but Dak is minus 130, whereas Purdy's a much better number at plus 124.
Yeah, I think last year I had Dak plus 2 or 2+ in the playoffs. I'll probably go something similar. I just think how the 49ers play zone a lot, and I think Dak struggles versus when they play man. And also, I think I'm going to this is going to play it in Fantasy Gameday as well. I think anything what Debo Samuel, I think he's playing this week. And I think with the, San Fran's the weakest, probably the weakest position group is their defensive backs or the offensive line. So I think the ball's going to come out quickly. And I think there's going to be a lot of throw it short to Debo and let him run and see how far he gets. So I think whatever the yards for Debo, I'll play for that. I think he's going to get more touches than Ayuk this week because Ayuk's more, seems like he's the deep threat they've had this year. And I think George Kittle probably TD as well. It just feels like he always does something special against Dallas, like the crazy catch last year in the playoffs. I think he's one of them players where I think they're going to be in a few third and longs because I don't think they're going to be. It's going to be a struggle against such a good defense. I think he's going to target Kittle quite a lot, especially them kind of things. And obviously McCaffrey, whatever, probably TD anytime. It's probably not even worth it now, but can you carry it on and keep going?
What's your 30 straight games, right?
Yeah. You have to go 2 or more, really, for McCaffrey. Just
minus 190 anytime.
Oh, yeah. Kind of feels like
it was minus 300 last week, I think. I mean, he scored 3 of them. So it wasn't a bad bet, but it's hard to bet on any one player to score a touchdown, I think, at minus 300.
Yeah, there's a couple I like just from a props perspective. I think what we saw last week is Jake Ferguson getting to the game a lot more for Dallas. I think he went 7 for 77. And Schultz has had good games in the last couple of years in the playoff games against the Niners. So I think that Titans going to be key. Ferguson's over-under prop is 30.5 yards. I like the over. That's 3 or 4 grabs. You can get to 31 yards really for Jake Ferguson. So really, really like that one. The Ayuk one's interesting. How Dallas choose to do it? What do you do? Do you stick Bland on him? Do you stick Gilmore on him? Follow him, or do you just kind of just match up? Just whatever sides he's on, somebody picks him up. It's an interesting one for the defense and how to approach it. I think with Brandon Ayuk.
I think I don't like shadowing against Kyle Shanahan type teams because I think he'll just find a way to exploit it, and you're going to end up chasing your tail. I think line up. Dallas have got good cornerbacks. Dallas have got good defense. Line up and play them, I think, is my approach. I ain't a defensive coordinator, though.
True. McCaffrey's rushing prop 75.5, which is quite interesting. Usually look, especially with somebody like McCaffrey, I like the look at the rushing and receiving, but it's 112, 110, 111.5. Get there in the end.
Yeah.
So
you can get.
I don't mind it again. I think is like Brock's going to throw a lot of them short routes, and I think where they're probably going to target the Cowboys is near their linebackers, because I think that's probably the weakest point of their defense. So it might get McCaffrey out quite a bit and just dump it over the defensive line and let him run. And I think he's going to run a lot of Parsons as well. I think that's probably the tactically used, especially in the second half. last year's playoff just run straight at him, so he can't disrupt Brock too much. So, yeah, curious.
Yeah,
you can get if you.
Oh, sorry, go on, Barry.
I'll say if you think McCaffrey's going to touchdown and you think the Niners are winning, you can just back the pair at plus 105, which is a much more digestible price, I think, than playing them individually.
Yeah. The other one I like is I'm going to reel out my over 3.5 field goals in this one. I think with Dallas's red zone problems and just the nature of the defenses, I think we'll see some obviously drives stalling. Plus 145 for over 3.5. It's a pretty good number in this kind of game, I think. 3.5. If you're tempted by one more, over 4.5 is 320. Over 3.5. I like one stat. I've got one stat for this one. It's Cowboys one, Joe. Sorry.
Nice.
Needed something. So for the Dallas Cowboys, in their last 11 occasions where they've been facing a top 10 run defense, Dallas are 10-1 against the spread. Really good against they cover the spread against really good run defenses. Bit of a peculiar stat, but I'm not sure what that really means. But they've got 3.5. But yeah, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I've gone for the Niners to cover the 3.5. Just thought I had to just take my Cowboys head off. Yeah, of course.
Not fancying the Trey Lance revenge game now.
No, I don't think we're going to get a Trey Lance revenge game, I'm afraid, Joe.
If it was the other way around, though, I bet Shanahan would put him in for a play. If it was like a former Dallas big goal pick that failed and ended up in San Fran. That's the kind of thing I could see Shanahan doing.
I think the other one I
probably won't even realise.
Yeah, I think they just sound Anthony. Was Anthony Brown who was a cornerback at Dallas? So revenge game there.
Revenge game, yeah. Cool, right, that is our end of our preview for our 4 games. We'll move on. We'll start with we'll go FourFold. Yeah, FourFold's the way to go. Let's have a look at our FourFold challenge. Just a reminder that we will have our this going on all throughout the season. The shtick is we pick one under, one over, one favourite, one underdog, one over, one under. Get there in the end. Across each week of the NFL season. And me, Joe, and Byron will go head to head. The loser will have to make a charity donation, to the winner's charity of choice, for the difference between the winners and losers' record. So whatever the gap is going to be the amount, and we'll work out whether it's a multiple or whatever close to the time. But someone's going to have to stick their hand in the pocket and make a donation to a fantastic cause. So, shall we have a look? We've hidden Bo, so we've done Bo, Football Talk with Bo is joining us as our special guest later on. It's already been recorded, but you'll hear it later on in the episode. So we've hidden his picks, so you don't see them beforehand, because that kind of spoils it a bit, doesn't it? But stick around for it. Bo was a great guest, and great to talk to. And there's like a 15-minute bonus Dallas Cowboys conversation at the end of it. So I think you'll only see that on the YouTube. You won't hear that on the Spotify. But if you're watching on the YouTube, you'll get that. Me sounding off about the Cowboys for 15 minutes if there isn't already enough of that on this podcast.
I was going to say, just what we need, more Cowboys talk, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I really try to limit it, but it's hard. Mike McCarthy makes it difficult.
It's cool. Now it's Mike McCarthy, yeah.
Yeah.
It's always somebody.
Jerry sometimes. It's Jerry a lot of the time. Right, let's start with a favourite. So I'm on the Bills at Wembley. We've talked about last game. Buffalo Bills minus 5.5. I think they cover the game. I think there's going to be enough points in the game for them to cover it. Byron, Lions Panthers. Lions minus 9.5. Talk to us about
that. Bryce Young's back. The Panthers are awful. Lions are legit. There's not much more to say, really. I think this could be a 20-point game. I think this is going to be a walkover.
Yeah, Lions have covered 6 of the last 8 at home as a favourite. Yeah. I'm liking the Lions in this one. Joe, your favourite, Green Bay Packers, -1. That's already flipped, right? Packers are an underdog now.
Yes, flipped, which, But I still think the Packers are going to win, so it works out if I'm going to put some money on it. I know they had a bad game against the Lions, but I just think the Lions exploited their weakness, and I don't know if the Raiders are good enough to do that as well. And I think with everything going off for the Raiders, obviously Chandler Jones has gone now, that I think the Packers are going to put enough points up, and I think they're going to win this, and with it just be -1, I think, it might just be a field goal difference, but as long as they win, that's all that matters with a -1 spread.
Yeah. Cool. And thanks, Jeff. That's all. The Lions has already moved to -10 as well, double digits. Yeah, cool. Underdog. I'm on the Texans +2. Yeah, the Texans last week, underdog. What were they last week against the Steelers? Can't remember what they were. I think, did I have them last week as my underdog?
You had it as the over.
I did it as the over.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, like them this week, +2 against the Falcons. Falcons are awful. Falcons 6-12 against the spread at home since the start of 2021. They are bad, and I feel like my view on that might just be amplified because I had to sit and watch them for 3 hours the other day. But they are bad. If we see Taylor Heineke, or if I get wind that Taylor Heineke is going to play beforehand, which I don't think he is, I'm going to be annoyed because I want to pick this. But
asterisk, yeah.
Texans, yeah, asterisk. Taylor Heineke, asterisk. But Texans are looking good. CJ Stroud's looking great. That Steelers defense is good, and they put them to the sword last week. And Atlanta's isn't as good as that. And I think they win the game outright and won't even need the +2. But I'm going to take the Texans. Byron, you're with me. Same logic?
This is my favourite bet of the week. Came out on Monday. It was +2.5. I bet it then. It's now down to 1.5, I believe. I can't believe the Texans are underdogs in this game. There were 3-point underdogs against the Steelers last week and blew them out. The Texans have been, since week 1, been beating teams better than the Falcons. The Falcons are getting worse by the week. I can't understand the logic of this being a plus Texans, but I'll happily take it.
Yeah. Joe, you're on the Jets. Underdog 1.5. I think that's moved, has it? It is 2.5 now.
Yeah. Which I was surprised I went that way, but I struggled with the underdog this week. I think it's not as, I didn't find it as easy as the other weeks. And I just think the Jets are going to win that game. I just think there's only one side of the ball which is actually a great part of the team, and that's the Jets defense. I think the Broncos, both sides are terrible. So I think the Jets are probably going to just run it down the throats. And if Zach Wilson can have a similar game, I think they might sneak this game. And I think 1.5. It's again, I think they might win by a field goal, and that covers it.
Yeah. Jets Broncos. I've got a couple of stats for this one. See, I told you I was prepared this week, guys. Jets since 2000 start of last season, 14-7 on the under for the Jets games. They end up pretty good under team, and the Broncos 3-7 against the spread in the last 10 home games. They suck.
So you've gone the Jets over.
So what am I on? I'm on Jets. I'm on the Jets for our ATS. I'm not sure about the over under. What's the line? The line for the over under, is it really low?
It's 43. I can see it here on the FourFold channel.
Oh,
you
I'm on the over. Sorry, yeah. That's the next thing. Sorry, yeah. I went over, yes. And why did I? Yes, there's a logic there, and that was it explaining. Sorry. Jets, Zach Wilson, better offensive performance against the Chiefs. That Chiefs is a much better defense than the Broncos' defense is, which is, this might be an all-time bad defense that ends up being, an historically bad defense. Yeah. Broncos have put up points as well. I know that Jets defense is good, but the Broncos have put up some points. Seen a little bit out of Russell Wilson. He's doing okay. I think they'll be able to score enough, and I think the Jets maybe have an improved offensive performance. Yeah. The stat was just a stat, just to share. It wasn't to say that I was going to back the under, by the way. 43. I mean, what the Broncos have gone over what have the last 3 Broncos games been? 60-odd, 90, and 60-odd.
They didn't do many of those 90.
Yeah. It was against Zach Wilson as well.
I'm not backing the Broncos team total.
Yeah, I get it, but I think it's, the Jets defense have made Mahomes and Josh Allen look ordinary. Mm. It could definitely go over 43. It's just not one I would be touching.
I'm in. Over in Jets. Byron, Packers, Raiders over 44.5.
Packers offense is putting up points despite not being a great team. Raiders defense is appalling. Devontae Adams revenge game. Jimmy G's back. I think this can get there. I did struggle finding an over I really liked this week, though, I must say. But yeah, I think big Vegas night. Quarterbacks are playing pretty well in those two teams. And yeah, Christian Watson hopefully fully fit. Devon Adams fully fit and rocking. He's looked real good this season. I think, 45's over 44.5. Well doable.
Nice. Joe, you're on Bengals, Cardinals, over 44.5. Joe Burrow declared this must win yesterday.
Yeah, similar to a Byron, I struggle with the over, and I think I just picked a game. I was like, it could be 44.5. There's no real reasoning. I just think, like you said, Bengals have got to win, so I think Joe Burrow's going to throw it a lot more. Chase is always open. And I think the Cardinals' offense has been a lot better than what people expected, and the Bengals' defense has not been as good. So I think it's going to be like a 28-24 kind of game. I might cover it. I don't think it's it was just, like I said, struggled like Byron, so I thought, why not?
Cool. We'll stick with you, Joe. You're on the Lunder, Jacksonville at Buffalo at Spurs under 48.5.
I thought it was a high number, and I just don't think Jags are going to score that many. And I know the Bills have scored quite a lot the last few games, but I think it's going to be similar to when they played Washington, and I think it was on like 30 odd, 7 or something, or 3, whatever it was. I don't think the Jags are going to score that many points, and I think the Bills are not going to be thinking, we need to put loads of points on like last week, because they had the worry of the Dolphins could just come back within 5 or 10 minutes. I don't think they're going to worry about that. And coming across the Atlantic, is it going to slow them down? Is it going to affect any speed or any sharpness? So I just thought go under, because 48.5 seems pretty high for that game.
Fast grass, Joe. Fast grass. 5-1. The over at Spurs. Come on.
Well, it's
the grass is fast. You should see the VAR officiating.
Excellent. Ah, dear, it's been a long day. Right, Byron, you're on the under. Panthers, Lions under. So you've gone for the Lions to cover the big spread, but also hit the under.
Yeah, kind of hate that combination, I must be honest. But I think this could be a 30-3 game. Like, I really, really do not rate the Panthers. If Panthers win this week, feel free to clip this and troll me next week and forever. But I don't think the Panthers score more than 10 points in this game. And, I mean, how ridiculous do the Lions go? 45 is a pretty good number. They could easily win, 30-10, and it's under still. I don't think Panthers are getting 20 points. I'd be stunned. And
I wouldn't feel stupid, mate. I've got a Panthers winning the AFC South. That'd be good. Winning the NFC South.
There's much chance of winning the AFC South, let's be fair.
Winning the NFC South, and a future on Bryce Young was Offensive Rookie of the Year. So
not too.
Yeah, I mean.
So, and you hate the head coach as well.
I hate that.
He always comes out on top one way or the other, Mr. 67.
Exactly.
I don't like having them both because it is a big number, the 9.5. Obviously, it's gone to 10 now, I believe. So, like, it is a tough line to kind of get them both in the same, but I just think the Panthers are that bad. Yeah,
it's moved to 44 as well, the under. So it's gone down one.
They obviously knew what I was picking.
Yeah.
Luckily, I got it on last night.
Moves the needle, does Byron. And I'm on Saints at Patriots, under 40. 2 decent defenses, 2 rancid offenses. Simple as that, I think. Simple as that.
I was thinking about this one. Again, this has moved to 39. It just feels low 40, but it's.
I don't love it, but both offenses are horrendous. Derek Carr shouldn't have played that last week. You could see he was hampered of that injury. They were just throwing everything that didn't really go past the line of scrimmage. We talked about Alvin Kamara's record-breaking catch performance, 13 for 33 yards, whatever it was. Which I'm still confused how you can do that in the NFL. But and I don't think we're going to see Winston this week. Clearly, we're not getting. We're not loading up Taysom Hill, which is what you should be doing, which I believe is what you should be doing in this situation. If you're not that confident in Jameis that you want to put him in, then I'll be getting Taysom Hill on that field way more. And Dennis Allen and the Saints just aren't doing that. So Matt Jones is bad, isn't it? Even if Bailey Zappi saw some more time in this game because he was an overs machine at Western Kentucky, not in the NFL.
He's not playing the same level, right?
Yeah, no.
I don't want to guess what division or conference of Western Kentucky are in.
I want to say
Power 5.
I want to say Western Kentucky is the MAC, but I'm not sure. Love MAC. That's my favorite college football conference because it's just nuts. Love a bit of action. yeah.
Are you worried about the injuries to the Patriots? I've just realised I picked Patriots as well. But yeah, with Judon and Gonzalez both out now, so that they're probably the best two defenders are out. So
yeah, so I do think that has the potential to hamper the defense, but I don't think the Saints are going to be able to particularly take advantage on offense. We've also seen the trade for J.C. Jackson, haven't we? That the Patriots have gone far from the Chargers. Now we can finally go answer that warrant in Massachusetts that he obviously ran away for so long, ran all the way to LA. So yeah, Christian Gonzalez as well. I think he's been playing well, and he's definitely a big
defensive rookie of the month.
Yeah,
I think realistically now, any kind of defensive rookie of the year bet that come in, asterisks. Like if Gonzalez can't play the full year, got asterisks him.
Yeah, he's out.
Well, some of us have got a future on Jalen Carter at 8
didn't know.
that we love, absolutely love. What is that? Less than evens now.
Yeah.
Is that odds on? Yeah. Pay me out now. Pay me out now. Cool. So just in the standings, I'm tied with the guests in last position at 7 and 9. Byron 11 and 5, Joe 13 and 3, and yeah, we've got our three of us. Our fourfolds go at 12.28, and Joe's a little bit more at 12.58. We've been good with it, well, I say you guys. 3 out of the 4 weeks so far, you've hit a fourfold between you. So let's see if we can get back on track. I'm going to hit one at some point during the season, so hopefully it's in week 5.
It's got to be this week, man. It can't be in single digits after 5 weeks.
All right. Yeah, no, I think I'm liking. I'll go at least 3 and 1.
We'll get Robson in as a permanent host if that's the case.
I can't take my own show off, man. That's not cool.
Certainly not missed the 60% here.
No, but I am where it counts, and that's
that changes week to week where it counts. Yeah,
no, always counts where the money's going. I don't bet every game, and there's a reason why. Got to be real selective. Cool. Let's have a look at our ATS board. A quick one to go through this week. We talked about Thursday night football on the other day. Washington, Chicago. I think that's moved, hasn't it? Is it 6 now? Yeah, it's 6. But yeah, me and Joe on the Commanders, Byron on the Bears. Are you really sticking to the Bears, aren't you, Byron?
Not with much confidence, but a short week. The Bears coaching deficiencies can't highlight too much if they don't have time to prepare.
That's a great point. Yeah, that's fair. That's a great point. A couple of stats in this one for you. Bears 5 and 14 against the spread on the road since the start of 2021. Not good. Commanders, just for betting perspective, 15 and 4 unders in the last 19 at home. 15 out of 19 unders. It's 44.5. Bears have been a big overs team the last couple of years though as well. And the Commanders, which 0-4 against the spread at home in their last 4 as a favourite. So they don't cover when they're a favourite at home.
And I don't know, I said this on Tuesday, but teams on Sunday playing overtime playing Thursday against a team who didn't play overtime, 3 and 21 against the spread. So,
interesting. I'm going to be leaving this one, but yeah, I'm on Commanders with Joe. Byron's on the Bears. We've covered Buffalo, Jacksonville. Byron, you've got Jacksonville covering the 5.5. Me and Joe are on Buffalo. Titans. Has that flipped? That's flipped, hasn't it?
Yes, they're minus 2.5 now.
Yeah,
the Titans were -1 though.
Yeah, I was going to say, were the Titans not -1 to start with?
You are right, yeah. Sorry, guys.
Well, that's fine. Don't worry about it. So, Indianapolis +1. Me and Byron are on. Joe's on the Titans -1. I'm so unsure. I changed that in the spreadsheet possibly a dozen times the last couple of days. I had no idea what to do with it.
I think for me, it's just kind of game where the Titans win the last few years.
Yeah.
That kind of horrible football, which I think they both are going to play. Because I don't think both quarterbacks are throwing it that much. Yeah, I think the Titans are going to sneak this one out. Typical variable performance.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, just didn't know what to do with this one. I'm flipping. Look, Tennessee win this. What are they back to? Are they 3-2 then? Yeah.
The entire division's 2-2, so yeah.
Yeah.
Whoever wins is going to be 3-2. Loser's going to be 2-3.
Don't know. I think we might see maybe the Titans go on and win the division. I think Henry looked good last week.
Did.
Yeah, just bully ball back for the Titans. Texans, Falcons. Me and Byron on the Texans +2. Joe, you're on the Falcons -2. Patriots, Saints. We talked about this one again. This is one that I flip-flopped on, but I've taken the Patriots -1, just expecting a bounce back from Belichick's worst loss or biggest loss as a coach. He was embarrassed last week, and that team was embarrassed last week, so I'm expecting a response at home. Byron, you've gone for the Saints, though?
Yeah, this was another one early in the week. I think this was 1.5 earlier, but I mean, same kind of difference, really. I think this is a real... I think the Patriots are... I've been saying this since the off-season. I think the Patriots are kind of a busted flush. I think this is Belichick's last year, and I think he was humiliated last week, but I don't know if he's got the soldiers to defend his honour and care that he's humiliated. I don't know if there's much there in New England. Like, the defense is good, but they've lost the two best players. Yeah. The one thing that hurts us as a really good bet is I don't like the Saints either. So, if this was a fully fit Derek Carr when he was better at football, I'd be smashing this, but it isn't. So, it's just a bet I like. But, I think the Saints have got kind of a better roster, certainly on offense. The Patriots' offense started out kind of good this season. They seem to have got worse by the week. Mac Jones seems like he's gone in the tank again. And we can't blame Patricia and Joe Judge this time. I think he maybe just has a bit of a bad attitude and doesn't like when things don't go his way. So, yeah, I'll certainly be betting the Saints over, plus. So, yeah.
Couple of stats for this one. Say the Patriots have won 8 of the last 9 games as a favourite. Also, that's been happening less and less recently. It's becoming a favourite, but they've won 8
9 weeks worth of football, yeah.
Yeah, 8 of the last 9 games as favourite. Saints, the last 11 times the Saints have played a top 10 defense. The under has hit 10 out of 11 of those games. I'm on the under at. So, we're all sweeping on the Dolphins. Can we talk about Evan Neal for the Giants? I don't want to talk about the game. Can we talk
I don't know if I'm
Neal?
in the financial bracket to discuss Evan Neal. I don't think I'm cool enough or respected enough by Evan Neal to mention his name. What a fucking prick.
Absolutely ridiculous. For somebody that's been a turnstile of an offensive lineman.
Yeah, well done. You're making money now and you wrecked your body to be a shit football player.
It is what the apology came out.
So disrespectful.
Yeah. The apology came out real quick from Evan Neal. Classic notes app apology as well. Screenshot of the notes app. There's some of the responses to it, particularly on New York, New York sports media. There was New York, ESPN New York. Well, I can't remember the station, 97.8 or whatever. I don't know if you've seen that one. That one is insane. Michael K, I think the radio host is.
I haven't favorited. I haven't watched it yet though. Yeah.
He's just like, if you see him out in the supermarket, boo his ass. If he wins a Super Bowl, boo his ass. Calling for him to be cut. Hoping that he would then go be flipping burgers and hot dogs as a result. And he was just calling for the Maras to make an example of him and just cut him, even though he's a first-round pick. Just cut him. True scumbag. Absolute scumbag. We're all on the Dolphins. Giants are in huge trouble, aren't they? I know they've had a rough. They've had to play some Cowboys, Niners, Dolphins.
Who they got next week? That should be an easy one, right?
Why is that Sunday Night Football?
Giants were a playoff team last year. Battle of New York, I guess. I don't know.
Bills Giants on Sunday Night Football. Nobody needs to see that. Can that be flexed?
I might enjoy it in like a sadistic way. Fuck the Giants.
Yeah.
Fuck Evan Neal. What was I going to say? Yeah, Brian Daboll's face watching Daniel Jones the other day, though. He was not a happy chappy. New York's in the pit, though. I don't know what they're going to do because there's no fixing this year. Yeah,
absolutely. Wild. Dolphins we should fully expecting to win this easily. And a bit of a bounce back. Dolphins were, in the end, they were beat up pretty good by the Bills. So bounce back for them.
Yeah.
Good spot. Cool. Right. Yeah. Thanks. We've talked about the Steelers Ravens already. I'm on the Mike Tomlin as a home underdog stat. I'll ride that one for a while. You two guys are on the Ravens. We're all on Detroit to cover the 9.5 against Carolina. Me and Byron on the Bengals. Yeah. As soon as Joe Burrow said that was a must win, I flipped that from the Cardinals to the Bengals. I
don't feel good about it, but I think I'm just going to fade the Cardinals every single week and feel like a dickhead every week about it. But the training reports were real good on Joe Burrow this week. No further aggravation. He's moving better than he has all season. This is one where could well be wrong, but I think Bengals might come out and put a bit of a show on here, and things are fine. Do not worry. Go out and put, I'm not going to say a 30-point victory, but score 30 points. It might be 30-17 or 30-23, what have you.
Bengals need this one.
They really need a biggie. They need to win, certainly, but I think they need a big, clear the cobwebs type game as well.
Yeah. Bengals need to win, have to win. And as soon as I saw that Joe Burrow quote, I flipped from the Cardinals. I feel bad, but I think ultimately, it's going to catch up with the Cardinals. I think, through 4 weeks, I think it's eventually going to slip off. I thought they put up a good fight against San Fran last week, to be honest with you. I know they didn't cover the spread in the end, but I thought they did put up a good fight. But I just really, really like the Bengals. They just have to. They can't go 1-4. They absolutely can't.
But isn't it a must win for Cardinals as well then? Because they're 1-3.
They could go 1-4.
No, I mean, in terms of
no, I'm just saying, it's just funny when it's a must win for one team, but not the other.
I get they're all must win, but look, Cardinals have not got Super Bowl aspirations, have they?
Well, it looks like Bengals don't at this rate. But did you see there was a conspiracy theory that the Bengals are trying to they'll basically, if they lose this game, they're going to can the rest of the year and try and get Marvin Harrison and get rid of is it Boyd or
Boyd's contract's up in, I think Boyd and Higgins are in a contract.
Yeah. So they said they might give it to Higgins and then they get Marvin Harrison Jr. in.
Higgins to Carolina. I've seen that rumored a lot because Carolina's a lot of strong rumors. They want a wide receiver 1. They need a lot more, but sure, go for a wide receiver 1. You don't have any picks to pick anyone, but sure, go for it.
Yeah.
And I love a good conspiracy, so I'm all in on that, Joe.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. We're all on the Eagles, -4 against the Rams. That's moved to 4.5, hasn't it? Has it? Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Jets, rolling the Jets at the Denver Broncos, not the LA Chargers. The Jets plus 1.5. Sorry, Joe. That's moved to 2.5, which I love it. I think I end up taking that if that stays on Sunday.
That's another one like the Texans. I can't understand how that's plus 2.5 for the Jets.
Breece Hall's going to be off the kind of pitch count as well. So we might see him unleashed, which is needed. And the Broncos are just trash. We're all on the Chiefs at -3.5.
-4.5, I think, isn't it?
-4.5, sorry. It's down to 3.5 now, which I love even more. We had it -4.
I'd love to get a +7.
It's -4. It's -4 on ours. It's like Joe's had a busy day. It's -4 on our card, Joe, for the Chiefs. But that's down to 3.5 now. But Chiefs with a smaller spread, happy to do it. Not the Chiefs with the big spread, no. But 4, I think it's really low.
I agree, and I have harped on this. Is not what I've harped on about all off season, and it's come to truth in the regular season. Brian Flores loves to blitz. Patrick Mahomes wants you to blitz him all day because he will rip you apart. Yeah. The Vikings haven't got anything if they don't blitz, and Patrick Mahomes loves playing against. He's the best quarterback in the world, in the NFL. There's no Italian quarterbacks who are playing better than him. Against the blitz, he always has been. He probably always will be. And I think this could be the Vikings offense is probably going to keep up, so it's maybe not going to end up being like a 20-pointer, but I think this could be, what was the over-under on this game? It was high one, 52.5. I think this could be one that pushes that over because I just don't see them slowing down Mahomes. I don't know how they're going to do it. I think the Lions blitz rate against the Chiefs when they beat them week 1 was 9%, and since then it's been 30%-ish because they know you don't blitz Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
I don't know if Brian Flores knows that, and I don't know if they've got the weapons on defense to not blitz as well, because the reason they blitz so heavy is because they need to.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love this bet. I think this is you know, there was a few I felt strongly about this week, but yeah, this was certainly one of them. With I don't know what Mahomes' over numbers are, but I think I'll be betting them. I think I'll probably bet the Chiefs.
It's come down, I guess.
Score.
Look, I took it at -4 already and backed it, and I guess I'll be cashing out for a loss. But no, I think I'll keep it. I like the 4. It's -3.5, but yeah, like that. And the Chiefs, and then we've got Monday Night Football. Joe, you've gone 5 weeks before something like this has happened. Don't worry about it. We've got Monday Night Football, which is Packers Raiders, and it's Packers -1. Let's flip, but it's -1 on our line. Were we all on the Packers?
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely after they're going to give me +1. Jeez Louise.
Yeah. Giving us +1. We're all on the Green Bay Packers as well. Records heading into this one. I'm bottom of the pile, 31-30-3. Byron's 33-28-3. And Joe's leading the way, 37-24-3. Joe, just imagine if you for all your FourFolds, backed all every single one of these bets, you'd be up loads so far in the over the course of the season.
Well, I did hit the first 2 FourFolds, so can't really whinge at that. So
yeah,
but keep it going.
Good
somehow.
Well, that is the end of our part of the show. I'll be joined by Football Talk with Bo to go over his FourFold challenge and a little bit of bonus Dallas Cowboys content as well. Feel free to skip that bit. But once Bo is the segment with Bo's done, we're going to finish off with some music this week. So we'll get that plug in now. Ringo and the Wolf are back. So Danny's been on the show before, the lead singer and songwriter from Ringo and the Wolf. They released a new record a couple of weeks ago called Fever Weaver. It is a great track. It'll play out as we finish off the show. If you are listening on Spotify, it won't on YouTube, sadly. It will on Spotify. Go give it a listen. You can find it on Spotify. The link's in the bio. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Music, all good streaming services, and some rubbish ones as well. And the guys are back with a gig at the end of October. On the 28th of October, they'll be playing as part of a 360 Club showcase down at the Royal Park Cellars underneath the Royal Park pub. You'll get Ringo and the Wolf and 3 other bands for the grand total of £7. Saturday the 28th of October. If you're in the Leeds and West Yorkshire area, get yourself down. Danny and the guys are well worth a watch. So yeah, look out for that at the end of the show. But Joe, Byron, pleasure as always. Catch you guys for the review. Here is me with Football Talk with Bo and his FourFold challenge.
Cheers.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a special live edition of Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. We've got our guest picker segment for week 5, and we're doing it live. So this is new territory for us. You'll also be listening to this on the recording as well. So either way, it's live if you're listening to it. I'm joined by our very special guest for week 5. Our week 5 guest picker is Bo. From at Football Talk with Bo. Bo, great to have you on Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. Finally, how is it going?
Good. Thanks for having me on this. It's like we just saw each other.
It's like we've just had a chat, isn't it? Yeah, Bo was a fantastic guest on the Paul Redmond Show over on the Let's Talk Sports Network. If you're listening to this and haven't seen that yet, go and check that out. Great conversation and always a great time with Bo talking all things football. Bo's taking on the challenge of being our guest picker for our FourFold challenge. How are you feeling about it, Bo? There's a lot of pressure, I think, in these guest picker slots,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pressure. There's just a lot of games that I don't love the line on.
It's a tough week this week.
So I mean, you got a game like the Saints and the Pats, and it's a -1. It's essentially heads up. And that game's a coin flip because the Saints haven't played well, and the Pats are, they got a defense.
It's tough week. I think we've got a few lights. Saints, Patriots is a 1-point spread. Titans, Colts is 1 point, and Packers, Raiders as well. And there's real tight games this week. And we're going to get into your picks. So Bo, taking part in our challenge, is going to do a favorite and underdog, a over and an under. But before we get to that, just a quick shout out to the guys at the Fantasy Gameday app. We've been partnered with those guys for the last few weeks. They're bringing daily NFL fantasy to the fans here in the UK. Gamete & Co. are doing a brilliant job. They've put together and created and released for this season a brilliant app. You can get on there. The game's live already for this week. So the Sunday Stars game is live already. It goes live on a Wednesday. Go set your lineup, enter the game, set your lineup of NFL stars from the budget that's available, put your winning lineup in, see the points roll in. And if you're in the top 20% of lineups and players, you will get yourself a cash prize. And the numbers are growing each and every week from week 1 to week 4 so far. And Gamit and Co are passionate UK NFL fans wanting to bring a great experience to the fans here in the UK. Yeah, really enjoyed kind of getting to know those guys over the last few weeks. And go and download the app now. It's available from your Apple App Store, your Google Play Store, wherever you get your apps from, it's available from. Must be 18 years old or over to enter. It is only available in the UK. And as always, please gamble responsibly. Cool. So, Bo, let's get into this then. Let's start with your favourite. So we're going to do your favourite first. Who are you liking? Who's going to be your favourite for week 5 in the NFL?
So I'm going to go. I'm going to go Niners at home over the Cowboys.
I don't like that pick, Bo. I'm a big Cowboys fan. I don't like that pick.
Yeah, I feel like the Cowboys' offensive line has been exposed. I know some of their guys have come back from injury, but they're still kind of banged up. And they're going to go against a formidable 49er defense. So, I think this will get Dak back on track with his pick total. And
I've just had the one through the 4 weeks.
Exactly. So we'll probably drop a couple in this one just to, get back on that double-digit pace.
You're right. It's okay.
But yeah, I'm going to pick. I'll pick the Niners to be the favorite that pulls it off.
In all seriousness, I do like it from a spread perspective. It does make sense. These two teams have played close games. We've seen them in the playoffs the last 2 seasons, but and the Niners won by 7 and won by 4. So covering the spread. So in this, fully suspect this won't be the last time the Cowboys see the 49ers this year. I'm sure we'll see them in January. But yeah, heck of a Sunday night game. I think that should be. We've had a couple of.
That one's going to be a great Sunday night game. Yeah. And when it comes to the name of your show, right? Great team cover. And man, the Niners look pretty great so far this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the Niners have looked incredible so far. They've 3-1 covering the spread in the 4 games so far. The sad Sean McVay field goal stopped them from being 4-0 back in week 2. But yeah, Niners are going strong, and can't begrudge you that, but that's fine. We'll accept that. I'm fully expecting on our picks on our preview show that you would have already listened to before this. That Joe in particular, we've got Joe, one of our guys, is a big 49ers fan, and on your Dak Prescott point there, Joe will definitely be betting over 0.5 interceptions for Dak Prescott. I know that now. Before we've even sat down and talked about it, I know that's what he's going to do.
Absolutely.
For sure. Yeah, cool. Yeah, 49ers your favorite. I like that. Cool. What about your underdog then? Because we've got some interesting lines this week. So yeah, who's going to be your underdog? Who do you think's going to cover or win a game outright as an underdog? Do you think?
Yeah. So as bad as the Bengals have played, I'm going to take the Cards to not only cover but to win outright. They've been playing some inspired football, both sides, right? The defenses look good. The offense has done enough to be in games. They've played good football. They clearly missed the memo that they're supposed to be tanking. So they're out there messing around trying to win games.
Yeah, and absolutely, that point around the organization can try and tank, right? And put players in positions where they're not going to succeed, but those players have pride. Those players have paychecks to earn.
Exactly.
Those players have got bonuses to earn. And if the organization and front office is wanting to tank, well, these guys need to find a spot for next year, because if they're not going to be in Arizona, they need to, have some good tape to go find a spot elsewhere. So yeah, the Arizona Cardinals have been good. They beat the Cowboys in a big upset. I think they were, when it closed, I think they were 11-point underdogs. It was 13 at one point. Won the game outright. They're plus 130 to win the game outright. Plus 130 money line against the Bengals, which, 4 or 5 weeks ago, we wouldn't be having that conversation, I don't think. But with the way it's been going, Cardinals have been running the ball really well as well. Of course, they're in your, as a follower of Seattle, they're in your division, the NFC West. I think the offensive line's been really good, and they've managed to run the ball really well as well.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, they've played good football all around for being a not top-notch roster, right? Like, they are the epitome of the Moneyball roster right now. They are winning games without necessarily having the highest talent on the field.
And look, they even pushed the Niners for 3 quarters, right? And the Niners kind of ran away with it down the back end, but they stuck around and give the Niners a bit of a fright, especially when they came back. I think they got it to 1 possession game in the 3rd quarter. So yeah, I like that pick. I like the money line shout as well, I think, on the Cardinals. Yeah, I think they're going to surprise teams and maybe win a few more games than kind of expected. I don't think they'll be in the position to draft Caleb Williams come next April. I think that'll be somebody else's fortune. I think likely the Chicago Bears, but we'll see. The way they're going.
Bears are so bad.
so bad. Let's move on to your under then. So which game do you think we're going to see a low score? Well, not necessarily a low scoring game, but which game is your favorite under for the week, Bo? Nobody likes an under, right, as well. Betting under sucks, but...
So under's tough because Vegas is generally pretty close. So there's not usually an under that like jumps off the map at you. Sometimes there is, but like KC having the highest one at 52, but neither team plays great defense, which lends itself to be a high total. So I guess I'll go under on the Eagles Rams because I don't know what you have it as, but on CBS it is 50.5.
Yep, 50.5. Yep, 50.5.
So I'd take the under on that. The Eagles have kind of struggled to move the ball around, and the Rams do have a good defense and have also struggled in spots to score. So I think this is one where the defenses can make an impact. And as long as there's not pick sixes that ruin this for me, I think this one could be the under.
Yeah, Philly, we talked about a little bit about that earlier, but Philly just seem to be, again, they've not put in maybe a complete performance so far, but they're sat here 4-0. And it feels like they're going to get rolling at some point, but maybe there's still a few weeks of kind of this just getting through games. Again, probably... I don't know what you thought about it last week, but it's not necessarily a point on the Eagles, this one, but more on the Commanders. Were you shocked Ron Rivera didn't go for 2 at the end of the game, end of regulation?
If it was a year ago, no. I mean, yes. Being as you have to think he's close to maybe getting fired. So, I think this is one of those where you do end up making more conservative picks instead of the old Riverboat Ron kind of action. I think you're going to see a little bit more conservative things during this season just because he's trying not to get fired.
Yeah, I mean we've seen him do it in the past, but I think just the way the game ended up, you've got that drive to come back and tie the game,
yep.
And you've got the ball in your hands at the 2-yard line. You've got one, you can win the game in one play. You've got to get 2 yards against this Philadelphia defense.
Yep.
Instead, I know they won the toss in overtime, but then you're saying, well, you need to move the ball 75 yards on that Eagles. Yeah, and again, I can't speak for a Commanders fan, but if that was me with my team and Mike McCarthy, and he went for it and they lost, I'd be okay with it because I think you've got the ball. It's in your hands. I'm okay with any coach doing that. But yeah, took the chance. It didn't work out in overtime, sadly, because what a comeback that would have been. They played the Eagles real tough.
They did. Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of games last week that were a lot closer than they should have been. There were games that you thought going into it for sure were going to be a blowout. Obviously, like Jets KC, like you thought the Chiefs were just going to come in and rout the Jets. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Jets have a nice defense, but since the offense doesn't typically do anything, eventually your defense gets tired.
Yeah, it's hard. And it looked like, especially that there were 17 up in the first quarter, it looked like it was going to be that route we were all expecting. I was on the Chiefs, I think, -8.5 last week, and saw the score early on and was like, great, I can go to, because it's quite late in the UK, that Sunday night game. So it's like, yeah, great, I can go to bed, don't need to worry about it. And then woke up and what the hell happened?
Oh, yeah.
Cool. All right, Bo, round us off with your picks then. What's going to be the fun game this week? What's going to hit the over?
I'm actually surprised that the Cowboys-Niners game is only 45 points.
Yeah, we've seen again in the playoff games in particular, those last 2 seasons, they both were quite low scoring. I think it's just certainly strength for the Cowboys has been the defense. Niners have a great defense as well as a great offense, but I think the Cowboys tend to do an okay job of slowing the run down against the 49ers. The way McCaffrey's going at the minute, though, I'm not sure anybody can.
Well, and especially because they're missing Diggs, who does actually do some work in that run game coming down.
Yeah, such a shame that one that Trayvon Diggs has been lost for the season for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
But yeah, 45, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at the rest of the lines. Like, I just don't love where the lines are this week. Like, a lot of them are really kind of where I think they should be.
Yeah, I thought I was seeing the board really clearly the last couple of weeks, and then this one came out. When I started looking at this one, I'm like, I'm not seeing. What was Sam Darnold? He was seeing ghosts out there. I think I'm seeing ghosts on this board.
For sure. The other one that's interesting is the other one, the 48.5 for Giants Dolphins. I feel like Miami can almost cover that on their own.
Yeah, I think that's what you'll be asking for. If you take that game, that's what you're asking for a lot. Because what the Giants put up 3 against Seattle on Monday,
exactly.
Didn't score against Dallas in week 1. I know obviously they have the comeback against Arizona, but
shut out the first half of that one though.
Yeah, and I think they put up 12 against the 49ers. So yeah, not been great on offense for the Giants. But yeah, the Dolphins could score, 50 points on their own.
Yeah, I guess I'll go Cowboys Niners over the 45.
Cool. Yeah, I think what we seen last week in the game, Dallas Patriots. Dallas's offense seemed to get moving a little bit, where it's been struggling the first few weeks. Still got those red zone problems though.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it's still early in the year, right? So Dallas can still score, do some things. It's not like this is a December game where Dallas forgot how to play football.
They're really good up until that 20-yard line offensively, and then it just goes to pot. And
it's funny. It doesn't matter how good their season is. Like, soon as Thanksgiving happens, they just kind of stop playing football anymore, and they sort of back into the playoffs. And I mean, I don't know what it is, but they haven't played well in December in a really long time.
Yeah.
Even in wins, they don't look very good.
Yeah. Certainly feels that way. And I think this is a real big year for, again, Mike McCarthy. Look, decision to part ways with Kellen Moore, who coincidentally seemed to be a big reason as to why the Cowboys were so good in the red zone. Last year, they had the best red zone offense and have done, have been up there the last few years, but they just seem so vanilla in that once they get to that 20-yard line, and it's very predictable. And you're going to need to be a lot better. And you can't finish drives off against the San Francisco 49ers with field goals, because that just is not going to cut it.
Yep. So, since you're a Cowboys fan, so if they do fall apart this season, which, entirely possible.
It's likely to happen, yeah.
Right? Like the history says it's probable.
Yeah.
So McCarthy gets fired. Dan Quinn becomes your interim.
Yeah, I mean, I think McCarthy, unless he gets to at least the conference championship game, I think he's gone.
Yep.
Because this team's just kind of plateaued now, I think. And I think naturally, yeah, why wouldn't you ask Dan Quinn to take over? You know, Dan Quinn could have left either of the 2 off seasons and gone and got a head coaching job.
I think he's eyeing this job.
Yeah, it's a great one to have, right? If you can get, if you can be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys and get things going, it's a great one to have. It's also a horrible one to have when things aren't going well.
I mean, is it though? Like you can go 8-8 and clap and be there for a decade.
Yeah, I mean that's true. Yeah, that was a bit of an anomaly with Garrett. But I just think with the way kind of McCarthy got a bit of a freebie year the first year because Prescott had the broken ankle. Injury, and he was, and realistically still probably should have won the division with Andy Dalton, who that year was, when you look around the league for backups, you couldn't have found a better backup than Andy Dalton, right? And probably still can at the minute in the NFL. But yeah, kind of got a bit of a...
He did good with the Panthers a couple weeks ago.
Well, yeah, absolutely. He knows how to win football, knows how to win games in the NFL. But yeah, and then we've gone 12 wins, 12 wins back-to-back years, but we're not seeing that progression in the playoffs. The 2 games against the San Francisco 49ers were just carbon copies of each other. So, yeah, I think, with this team's got a bit of a window on it. That offensive line is at risk of falling apart at any given moment with injuries. And when you've got everyone fit, it's one of the best offensive lines in the league. But it's at risk of falling apart, and you're going to start losing other parts soon. But, yeah, I think it'd be the right thing to do to give it to Dan Quinn. He's done an unbelievable job turning around that defense. We've seen Dallas have a chance to win with defense, which I've been following in the sport for about 15 years, Bo, now. And I don't recall ever seeing a good Dallas Cowboys defense in that time. Usually it was just trying to get Tony Romo to win games on his own.
Kind of.
For all that time, yeah. And a couple of historically bad defense as well, under defenses, one under Rob Ryan that was awful in particular, really, really bad. But yeah, it's defense is a strength now for the Dallas Cowboys. They need to play complementary football on offense, and they seem to be struggling with that at the minute. But that defense will keep them in games, I think, whereas historically it hasn't. And Dan Quinn is a huge reason behind that. So, yeah, I'd be more than happy if Dan Quinn took over. I'm not the biggest Mike McCarthy fan in general anyway. I've shared my views on Mike McCarthy before. But, look, he's won 12 games the last couple of seasons. So,
that is the thing with this team is you are starting to get into areas of contracts where you're going to start losing guys. Yeah. Plus, some of the ages of the guys are getting into a spot where they're going to start moving out of their prime. Yeah. I mean, this is probably that year where if you're going to do it with the personnel that you have, this is that year, right? Because as I recall, this is the last year for Pollard too, right?
Yeah, so Pollard's on the tag this year. So, yeah, you're going to have to pay Micah Parsons sooner rather than later. And that's going to be a lot of money. And rightly so, fully deserves it.
Oh, yeah. Well, and then, of course, you also are looking at what are you going to do with Dak, right? Because he only has, 1 year left after this? So, like, all of a sudden, you're starting to look at this team having to at least do a soft rebuild, right? Not necessarily blow it up, but you're looking at, maybe having to pay Dak again, or are you going to move off of Dak? You're a good enough team that you're not going to really draft a high-value target. So you're going to hope for a Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, Brock Purdy kind of late round dude, which, sometimes works and most of the time not so much. So, I mean, it's, I kind of laughed when Dak was like, oh, it's Super Bowl or bust. It's like, well, first, don't put that pressure on your own team because that's stupid. But at the same time, he's kind of not wrong.
Yeah. I mean, everyone around them is going to put the pressure on them anyway for Super Bowl, and there's a way of embracing it. But look, the hit that, I think we forget sometimes that the Cowboys hit on Prescott, right? He's a 4th round pick out of Mississippi State. Yeah. And, got his chance when Romo went down injured and ended up retiring. And, I think they are stuck with Prescott, I think, because I don't think you're going to get anybody better in free agency, and you're just never going to be that bad where you draft in the top 5. I don't think, not anytime soon anyway.
I mean, the thing that's funny, though, is had Cooper Rush beat the Eagles, do you have a very real conversation about your quarterback moving forward? Because statistically, Dak is Romo.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you look at the stats side by side and win percentage in the playoffs and all, like, it's the same exact career. And then he gets hurt. Cooper Rush busts out 5 wins in a row. I think if he would have won that 6th game, you got to kind of stick with the hot hand, right? See where you can go with it, because the Eagles was definitely the formidable challenge there. And I don't know. I think that would have been an interesting conversation had they been able to pull that game off.
I think they've done a pretty good job of when Prescott's gone down and Cooper Rush came in for a 1-game stint the season before and won. But I think and probably what was involved in the trade for Trey Lance is they have to completely change the way they play offensively when Prescott goes out and Rush comes in. And I think there's a bit of around, well, you don't really want to do that. You have to completely change the way you play, because you know what Cooper Rush did was build up great rapport with players like Noah Brown, who isn't there, who's at the Texans now, and things like that. Those were the guys. It wasn't CeeDee Lamb. It wasn't Schultz as it was. You just having to go to these guys. So, yeah, whereas I think the idea of getting Trey Lance is actually you've got a player that's kind of like Dak. Not exactly the same, but, if you can get Lance going, whereas you don't have to change the entire offense. I think that's the thinking behind that. But Cooper Rush should, and I was real sad for Cooper Rush that he didn't get a shot. He ended up coming back to Dallas as a free agent. I would hope he might get a go somewhere. Go in and get the chance to be a starter somewhere. He'd have had to earn that job, but because I think actually he could be an okay solid quarterback with some good weapons around him.
I mean, he could win with the Jets.
Yeah.
Like, if he was thrown into that offense, he could win with that Jets team.
Yeah. But he's going to be sat on the bench for Dallas in case of emergency, break the glass out. But yeah, we'll see. I fully expect a very similar year anyway, but that we'll finish off losing either to the Niners or Eagles in the divisional round as a wild card team. Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, probably. But, yeah, I mean, the Trey Lance pickup was interesting. I mean, you guys got him for nothing, so that part of it made sense.
Good, yeah.
But, it was interesting because he's been so injury prone. And, I mean, yeah, he has a potential nice upside, but, I mean, he gets knocked out of the game so quickly that, I mean, again, you did get you took a flyer on him for literally nothing. I mean, so I get it, but every time I hear people that are like, oh yeah, Lance is going to take Dak's job, it's like, he couldn't beat out Darnold for the 3rd spot. Like, what are you talking about?
It definitely screams more of a Jerry Jones move as opposed to a move that Mike McCarthy wanted to make, in my opinion, just looking at it from kind of the, perspective, the Cowboys perspective. But yeah, it's an odd one. But I think, look, take a flyer, see what you've got. And who knows? Look, if he develops into a backup player and a backup quarterback, I think that's actually probably a good outcome. You've got a good outcome come from that. Bo, just conscious of where we are now, we've got a busy night ahead of you. And thanks ever so much for being our guest picker for week 5 here on Good Teams and Great Teams Cover. Our guest picker segment presented by the Fantasy Gameday app. Go download it. Go take part in Sunday's Sunday Stars game. Set your lineup. You might win yourself a cash prize. Available to 18 years and above in the UK. Please gamble responsibly. I'm getting good at that now. It's a new one, but yeah, we're getting good at that. Bo, again, just for any guys here at Good Teams and Great Teams Cover that haven't come across you before, where can the guys find you? Where can they follow you, and where can they go watch you?
Yeah, so you can find me here on the Let's Talk Sports Network, and of course on my channel, which is at Football-Talk right here on YouTube. And on Twitter, we can chat all things sports at Football Talk with Bo. And of course, be sure to like and subscribe wherever you're watching. Again, it helps us all grow.
Yeah, absolutely. Bo, thanks ever so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure to have you on Good Teams and Great Teams cover. That wraps up our episode. So our special live episode and also the recorded version, if you're listening to that. So as always, please give us a follow on Spotify, Good Teams and Great Teams cover. You'll be notified of new episodes when they drop. Follow our YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter/X accounts at GTW_GTC. Until next time, which will be the week 5 review, which will be Tuesday, Wednesday next week. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you again on Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover.